Does it point out to any personal responsibility, or it is normal and ordinary for parties to file cases against the office of the governor?
It is normal, especially when it touches the county government of Meru.
Indeed, Madam Governor, when you came to office, you continued defending cases that were filed against the office of the governor for actions that took place even before you got to office?
When I got to office, I met 800 and something cases in court.
Those cases were citing the governor as a respondent?
Yes.
Did they in any way communicate that you personally had a responsibility to the action that offended the person who went to court, or it is by virtue of the office?
In all those cases, there is nowhere where I was directly responsible.
Thank you. Lastly, we have an issue of appointment of the following person. But before I go there, let us talk about the traffic marshals in Meru. You have been accused of creating this office called the traffic marshals without following due process. Did you commit that offense?
I did not appoint anyone for the traffic marshals. That was a pilot project from the Department of Public Service. Just like any other governor or leader, you are mandated or you're supposed to launch a project. But I did not participate in employing any of the traffic marshals.
Did you later seek the approval of the County Public Service Board to create this office?
The county secretary did it.
And those discussions are ongoing?
The discussions are ongoing.
Thank you.
And one council may ask, who then were the drivers of the border? We have the enforcement team and some few others that were piloting or were used to pilot the project. So we've never employed any single person to do that duty.
Thank you. You have been told that you bear the ultimate responsibility even for actions of your CECs, county chief officers, directors, drivers, your chief of staff. What is your understanding of your role as a governor of Meru County?
Of course, to provide leadership counsel, and also, even though in some ways I might be involved where I'm directly giving a direction, maybe via memo, because a government has a way of communication. But in this case, or in all these allegations before me today, none of them that I have alluded my signature, neither given a memo for the accusations that are before me.
Thank you. The very last, we have seen a lot of, and I do not wish to go deep in it, but we have seen the County Assembly trying to make a big deal of some payments that were done on one day to Rose, to other members of county government. Is it that these people are being paid for forged interest? Or why is it that there is an indication of many payments done on one day? To the best of your understanding, though you may not have the technical.
In county government, Mr. Speaker and the honorable senators, we receive funds not in one bunch.
Yes.
At times, funds are delayed, and some functions have to continue, like traveling, like meetings, and in most cases, we do or they do using their own money, like traveling, And then when money gets in or lands to our accounts, then they are paid. The issue of paying 10 payments in a day might have been a delay of payments which has not been done for a month or two.
Thank you. When you travel, is money put in your account or it is deposited in the account of your PA, or it's your PA who receives it?
Since I became a governor, none of a single or no single coin has ever been deposited to my account.
How do you travel? Who then receives that money for your facilitation?
The PA,
Thank you.
the administrators.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, sir, that is all for this witness. I wish to hand her over for cross-examination. Thank you.
County Assembly, you may proceed to do your cross-examination. By way of indication, Counsel for the County Assembly, how much time do you need?
Mr. Speaker, if it finds favor with you, we request 2.5 hours.
You request?
2.5 hours. We only make this request, Mr. Speaker, based on the scope of the issues covered by the witness. They are not issues we can address in a short time. Our main witness, I think, was cross-examined for a similar amount of time. It's only fair for purposes of equality of arms.
Let's try 1.5, and then we'll gauge it from there.
The Honorable Governor Mwangaza, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Council.
Would you agree that the cultural structure and values and attitudes of the Mount Kenya community are substantially similar, even though there may be small details of variation?
No.
So it is your case, the culture of the Meru, Embu, and the Gikuyu are vastly different.
Yes.
Are their languages also vastly different, or are they substantially mutually intelligible?
Different.
Are they mutually intelligible?
No.
I put it to you, Kawira, that anyone who lives in this country actually knows there isn't much difference in the cultures, values, and attitudes of those three communities. What do you say to that?
There is difference because, for example, in Meru we have Jorincheke. Do the Kikuyus have Jorincheke?
They have Kiama, and I'm sure you know even the Jorincheke is also called Kiama. It's just a difference of names. Anyway, Governor Kawira Mwangaza is the governor of Embu a man or a woman?
A woman.
To the best of your knowledge, is this woman governor being hounded out by some misogynistic male leadership?
Unless she's here to testify, I cannot testify.
To the best of your knowledge, has the woman governor of Embu been impeached 3 times? Has she faced 3 impeachment motions in the last 1 year?
I know of one Anne Waiguru who was impeached twice.
Let's stick to Embu for now. Has the governor of Embu faced 3 impeachment motions in the last 1 year?
No.
Nakuru equally has a woman governor, right?
Yes.
It has a huge population of Mount Kenya diaspora, true or untrue?
True.
Has that woman governor in Nakuru faced 3 impeachment motions in the last 1 year?
No.
Kwale as a woman governor, true or false?
True.
The people of Kwale are Bantus, just like the people of Mount Kenya, correct or incorrect?
Correct.
Has that woman governor faced 3 impeachment motions in the last 1 year?
No.
Homa Bay, which is a different cultural area, as a woman governor, correct or incorrect?
Correct.
Has she faced any impeachment motion in the last 1 year?
No.
As a matter of fact, Meru itself, as an elected woman MCA, correct or incorrect?
Correct.
To the best of your knowledge, has that woman MCA in Meru encountered any backlash from a toxic masculinity to hound her out of office?
Several times.
Have you adduced that evidence anywhere in your response?
No, because it was not part and parcel of my response.
Meru as a woman representative, correct or incorrect?
Correct.
In fact, you yourself were a woman representative of Meru for a whole 5 years.
Yes.
Did anyone try to recall you because you are a woman?
No.
Good. Let's go to, you just told Mr. Speaker, it's more common story in Meru. Tell me whether you know of this story, which is also very common in Meru, of a woman who would beat her husband, then scream, and because the society is socialized to think it is the man beating the woman, and she has locked the house, people would think it is the man who was beating the woman, while the truth was the other way around. Have you ever heard of that story?
No.
Of course, you've never heard of it, because it's not convenient. Let's agree, Governor Kawira, for argument's sake, without conceding, let's agree the MCAs are indeed acting under the influence of external people. Would that mean your sisters never received the monies we allege?
Pardon?
If we temporarily agree for argument's sake that the reason the MCAs have impeached you all these times is because of toxic masculinity and evil motives and malice and whatnot, we want, for argument's sake, in my next series of questions, to work on the assumption that that is true. If the MCAs are malicious, would that be an answer to why your sisters were receiving monies irregularly from the county?
No.
If the MCAs are intimidated or influenced, would that be an answer to the count on usurpation of statutory functions of the County Public Service Board?
No.
Indeed, Governor Kawira, the motivations of the MCAs, you will agree, are therefore irrelevant as long as there is evidence in support of the charge.
There is no support in the charge.
That's for the Senate to decide, but assuming there is evidence in support of the charge, is it your position the charge would fail because even though there is evidence, the MCAs are driven by an ulterior motive? Is that what you're inviting the Senate to do, assuming the Senate believes you're an innocent victim of evil machinations, does that undo the evidence against you on the charges?
The charges should have evidence.
If they have the evidence, my question is, would evil intentions on the part of the MCAs undo that evidence? Would the evidence cease to exist because the MCAs are acting maliciously?
No.
The answer is?
No.
No. So you will agree with me, therefore, the case against you should be decided on the evidence, not on the motivations of the MCAs.
Yes, on the evidence.
Thank you very much. That's a very useful answer. Let's go to the complaint by Celesio. Mr. Speaker, that would be from page 1 of volume 2. You just told the Senate that the reason you did not account for the entire 78 million is because the motion only related to your sisters. Is that still your position?
Yes.
Did you read volume 2 as you read the impeachment motion?
Where is the volume?
Did you read the bundle that contains the Assembly's evidence?
The evidence is the IFMIS extract by Celesio.
Correct.
Yes.
In fact, the impeachment motion says the evidence is in the complaint by Celesio. Correct or incorrect?
Correct.
It would mean, therefore, the impeachment motion must be read together with the complaint by Celesio. Correct or incorrect?
Incorrect.
Can you refer to paragraph 11 of the motion? (11A), can you read it to the Senate?
Yes, I can read.
Read it for us.
87 of 68. Evidence of the governor engagement, convenience, and complicity in the proceeding. 2, gross violation of the Constitution. 3, 2, gross misconduct. 3, gross abuse of office to be found in, accompanied by Duranira Salesio Mutuma to Ethics and Corruption Commission on 11th August 2023.
So you agree you are given sufficient notice that the Assembly will be relying on the complaint by Celesio in the motion itself. Correct or incorrect?
Incorrect.
Fair enough.
Incorrect.
We said it's okay, we can live with your answer. But let's go to the complaint by Celesio. Can you go to page 4, volume 2? What does it say? At 2.5?
For volume.
It refers to Kadure Rukaria Catherine, isn't it?
Yes.
It is therefore correct that you had prior notice. There is a complaint by Celesio regarding payments to this particular person.
Kadure Rukaria.
Did you or did you not receive this page 4, volume 2, Governor Kawira? Either you did or you did not receive it.
I want to see the charge first, because the charge talks about embezzlement of funds by relatives.
Yes, we moved from the charge to the evidence where you already referred to the complaint by Celestio. The complaint has to be read in its entirety.
The author of the IFMIS report, Celestio, in the IFMIS report, we have more than 100 persons who have received funds.
And all these 100 persons are persons working in your office, correct or incorrect?
And these 100 persons are not mentioned in the impeachment.
Fair enough, Governor. Do these 100 persons work in your office? Either they do or they don't.
I'm not aware of everyone who works in my office.
Good. But does page 17 indicate these are transactions by persons who work in your office? At the top of page 17, does it show that these are transactions by persons who work in your office?
Currently, county government of Meru, we have 6,000 employees, and I cannot know every person by name.
Governor, unfortunately, you don't have the luxury of ducking my questions. My question is, does this IFMIS indicate in black and white that these are transactions by persons working in your office?
I don't.
Either it does or it doesn't.
I don't think so.
Can you read the top, the very first item on that page 17?
Yes.
Read it to the Senate.
Vote. These are small ones, I can't see.
I don't mind if your assistant can read for you.
Okay.
She can read for you.
Vote 3562, Meru, Office of the Governor.
You will agree, Madam Governor, the document itself indicates it's about transactions in your office, not another office.
In my office, from July 2022, when I was not the governor of Meru.
Yes, and while you were seated here, we pointed out only 12 transactions lie in the previous regime. All the others have happened when you were the governor, correct or incorrect?
And that's why, Council, you want me to know everyone who, including those who worked in the previous regime, from this document?
You won't get away from this, Madam Governor, by being clever. Can you see page 17? You confirm the transactions begin on 1st July,
yes,
when Kiraitu was the governor,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And it follows like that, 1st July, and when July ends, the next entries are for 20th September 2022, correct or incorrect?
Correct.
Correct or incorrect?
Correct.
Correct. You are the governor as at September 2022.
Yes.
It must therefore follow that for all these hundreds of transactions, all of them except the first 12 happened during your tenure as governor of Meru.
Yes.
Good. Let's go back to the complaint by Celestio. At page 4, Celestio talks of withdrawals by Kadure Rukaria Catherine, correct or incorrect?
Correct.
And he has analyzed them, and most of them are indicated the payment description is not applicable. Correct or incorrect?
Correct.
In your understanding of government accounting and PFM, should public money be expended and the accounting description is not applicable?
Council, I'm not an accountant.
You are the governor, unfortunately, so answer my question.
As the governor of Meru, the way I understand is that after this IFMIS report, if it's a genuine one, of which I doubt, follows an audited report. Before me, if it was an audited report which clears or rectifies any mess that is in IFMI's report, then it could be a question that I could be easily able to answer.
Does the county government have access to IFMIS?
Yes.
In fact, your junior officials have credentials to IFMIS.
Yes.
Therefore, they could easily have just logged in and printed the correct IFMIS if your case is you doubt the authenticity of this one. Correct or incorrect?
I repeat again that IFMIS extract is not the final document.
That's not
that
my
can be
question,
relied.
Madam Governor. The question is, would your CC finance, would your chief officer finance, would your own chief of staff, who is the accounting officer in your office, do all these people have login credentials to IFMIS?
They have.
Good. And therefore, when the assembly asked you to present the IFMIS extract, all your officials needed was to log in, print, submit. Correct or incorrect?
There was a reply by the...
There is a reply. Answer my question. All they needed to do, if there was any reason to doubt the authenticity of this IFMIS, was to log in and print.
Council, do the assembly rely on IFMIS?
Madam Speaker, I ask that the witness answers my question. I don't want to have an altercation with her. I need your protection, Madam Speaker.
Madam Governor, just answer the question, please.
They have the right to print the...
Yes, and therefore you will acknowledge all they needed to put this matter to rest if there was no embezzlement was to log in and print. Correct or incorrect?
Correct.
But instead of doing that very simple task, your CEC and your officials, what they did is to manually type their own figures instead of those on the system. Page 105 of your response. Correct or incorrect?
Incorrect.
Are you saying the document at page 105 of your response is a system-generated report?
This is generated from my office or from the Salesio?
It is from your office. It is in your response, Madam Governor.
In my response, we are dealing with the IFMIS report by Salesio, the activist, or a report from my office.
If I unpack your own defense for you to answer the question, I don't know, Madam Speaker, who is answering questions. In your defense, you actually rely on the report by Salesio. And in addition, you have brought something you have manually typed, which is a parallel document, not the one from IFMIS.
Council, you're insisting that she has typed and she's saying they did not. Can you re-ask the question so that she can answer that?
On its face, the document in your defense, is it generated from IFMIS or is it manually typed? Because that should be clear from the face of the document.
This is the summary of IFMIS payment.
It is not an extract from IFMIS, is it or is it not?
It is an extract of the IFMIS.
Does it have a timestamp?
Time out.
And if timestamp,
Yes.
where is the timestamp? Show it to us.
It has the voucher number, the payee.
I'm not
expense.
talking about voucher numbers. I'm talking about a timestamp. System-generated report from IFMIS indicate when they were printed, when they were downloaded. They leave a footprint. Who keyed them and when? You will agree, Madam Governor, so that we save time, your document is not system-generated. And that's why I said you typed it. If you refuse to answer the question, I'll proceed and invite the Senate to make whatever conclusions it wants to conclude from that refusal.
Council, you can put it to her and proceed.
There?
You can put it to her and proceed.
Madam Governor, I'm putting it to you that you're refusing to answer this question.
I'm not refusing to answer any question.
I put it to you, you're dodging my questions.
Which one particularly?
Whether the report at page 105 of your defense is a system-generated document or a document typed on a desk by someone.
It's a system of a summary of IFMI's payment.
We'll leave it to the Senate to see who to believe on that so that we don't spend all the time on one issue. At page 10 of our volume 2, how much money does Celestio say Catherine Rukaria irregularly withdrew from the vote for the office of the governor? 29, there is a total there. It is how much? Can you read it for the Senate?
Grand total payment made by Catherine Rukaria, 29,018,714.
How much does he give as the total that was withdrawn from your office during this period covered by the IFMIS?
Grand total paid to the county government of Meru.
Yes.
That is 188 million. That is the grand total paid to the county government.
Read the exact figure. What is the exact figure?
88,609,373.
And it says the amount withdrawn by just one Catherine Rukaria is what percentage of the total? It is indicated there in black and white?
15%.
15%.
Yes.
Let's go to lead and gather, same page 10. Again, Celestio has outlined many payments where the description is not applicable. Correct or incorrect on the face of it?
Correct.
Let's go to page 12 that involves your sister. Celestio has again listed all the specific payments to your sister, correct or incorrect?
Correct.
And again, most of them, the item description is not applicable. And on the IFMIS, the description is prepayment. Correct or incorrect?
Correct.
And what is the total amount, this sister of yours?
2,769,000.
Is this amount smaller or bigger than the total amount for the imprest you have submitted to the Senate? This amount here of 2,769,000, is it smaller or bigger than the amount you have accounted for?
Let me see the booklet that I have accounted for.
You have only accounted for 2.6 million, Madam Governor, for all the relatives, and yet for just one of them, the amount irregularly disbursed is 2.7 million. I'm putting it to you that the sum of the amount of money you have accounted for all your relatives is actually smaller than the amount paid to just one of them, as per this document.
And as per this document, which is an IFMIS report, the audited report clears any error that is in this report. We have cases in this same report that you are referring to, some of the payments named as hospitality payment, which are hospital surprise rather than hospitality payments. Who will rectify the mess which is still in your evidence booklet named as hospital surprise rather than hospitality surprise?
Governor Kawira, who is responsible for inputting transactions on IFMIs at Meru County?
PFM Act Section 103 gives the responsible person to correct the measures. It establishes the CEC finance is the end and it makes all decisions. And the Public Audit Act 31 spells out the audit process for documents to be tabled before Parliament and Assembly.
So you will agree with me?
So this IFMIS report must go through the audit for us to get a final copy that can be relied by this honorable House.
Except that's not the question I asked you, and I agree with you. But you agree the answer to my question is that it is your officials who enter the data in these IFMIs.
Who is right now? Is it our officials or the activists?
Answer my question. Madam Speaker, please.
Councillor, what is your question?
My question is whether it is county officials in Meru who keyed in the data on IFMIs.
Governor?
Yes, it is the county officials for our case.
And therefore you will agree with me, if there is any misrepresentation of hospital as hospitality in IFMIS, the person that should take responsibility for that is your own officials, correct or incorrect?
Correct, and that's why we have another process.
I have received my answer,
audit.
Madam Governor. You have said it's correct. You have given an explanation that the reason your officials and relatives receive all these payments is by way of interest. That's why on IFMIS it is captured as prepayment, isn't it?
Yes.
Are you aware an interest is to be surrendered within 7 days?
Prepayment cancel is money requested for activities not done, and after the activities have been done, the accounting person accounts for every coin before receiving any other money.
Again, you're dodging my question.
Repeat
The question is, isn't an impress supposed to be surrendered and accounted for within 7 days?
Surrender of interest are surrendered within specific days.
My question is very easy. By law, should an interest be surrendered within 7 days? It's either yes or no. Should an interest be surrendered and accounted for within 7 days? What's your answer, Madam Governor?
I'm not sure if it's within 7 days.
Fair enough. You will also agree with me, this report covers an entire year, financial year, July to the date, the last date there. Correct or incorrect?
Correct.
And therefore, if payments made in September last year by way of interest still appear as prepayment, the only conclusion that arises is that those interests were never surrendered and accounted for. It is the only accounting conclusion that ensues, Madam Governor. Correct or incorrect?
Incorrect. And the reason is that you cannot receive funds from the Treasury before surrendering everything that you received earlier on.
As a matter of fact, Madam Governor, so that I show you you're a liar, can an officer be given an imprest without accompanying hard cash?
Repeat again.
Is an
Can you be
imprest
clearer in your
given with,
question?
is an imprest when an officer takes an imprest, aren't they given cash? Isn't that why it is indicated as a prepayment? Because they have been given cash to expend and later account.
It depends whether the
It is
county
yes
government...
or no, Madam Governor. Can one be given an imprest without a cash disbursement to them? Would you call that an imprest?
It is a prepayment.
Madam
You are
Governor, I
paid
put it to
later.
you, you can't have it both ways. It is your case that the reason these items appear as imprest on IFMIS is because they were by way of imprest. Isn't that your defense, Madam
Counsel,
Governor?
can you ask clearer? What is it? What question do you want her to answer?
The question, Madam Governor, which I'm putting to you, is that your answer that officers take imprest and then later on, when money is disbursed from Treasury, they are paid. That is why they are paid several, they appears.
What is the question? Are you putting it to her or are you asking?
I'm putting it to her, Madam Speaker, that your answer cannot hold, which you gave in chief, that the reason your relatives have several payments on the same day is because money is paid after the event and after there has been an accumulation. That cannot be correct because an imprest is always supported by hard cash. So it is given on cash basis. So the question of waiting for money does not hold, Madam Governor.
These are prepayments, and these are money requested for activities not paid before. And when money arrives to the county government, they are paid. For example, if I'm traveling today from here to a certain destination, we will use our own resources and later surrender the documents for the person concerned to receive the payment.
Let's use your own example, Madam Governor, pause it there. If you travel today on your own money, which will be refunded later, would you be given an imprest for spending your own money?
You'll be paid for spending
That's
your
not
money.
my question, Madam Governor. You're going on a trip, and we all agree it happens every day, on your own money to be refunded later. Are you given an imprest on that occasion when you're traveling on your own pocket to claim later?
You will be given interest if there are some goods you are required to buy on cash. And the amount of money that the council we are discussing is the office of the governor, where there are no projects apart from the usage of money by way of travelers and other things like purchase of items in the office of the governor. No projects is done in the office of the governor. How else do we expect the office of the governor to work or to receive money if not by this form?
I did ask you any
other
question,
formula.
Madam Governor, about projects. We are talking.
Councillor, can you wrap up on that question? And can you? I think the Senate might be able to appreciate the issue of imprests. I request that you move to the next question.
Madam Speaker, my name is Meru, and I have a few questions for the governor.
Madam Governor, we were told by your witness, the CEC for Legal and Public Service Management, that the originals of the surrender documents are with the auditors. Is that your position?
Yes.
And he told us that the originals that are with the auditors are signed. Is that your position?
Yes.
So if the originals are with the auditors and they are signed, where did you get these surrender documents that are not signed?
Council, what happens after you surrender the interest? When you surrender the surrender of the interest, you have a voucher that is in your documents attached to your files, signed, verified, and examined by an examiner. I think those are the documents you have. Are they examined and verified?
No, the documents we have are not examined or signed by the Director of Accounts or by the Chief Officer of Finance. And if your testimony or your evidence is that the originals are signed and they are with the auditors, where did you get these copies that are not signed? Can you have two documents, one which is signed, the original, and another document that is not signed with respect to the same transaction?
Of course, every person have to keep a record of what maybe you might be asked to give and give it out.
So you would agree with me then that the documents you provided here are not a proper record or representation of the documents that are with the auditors?
And that's why we have...
No, it's a yes, no question. Would you agree with me then that the documents that you've provided here, because they are not signed, and the ones that are with the auditors, the originals, are signed, then these documents, obviously, are not a proper representation or copies of the documents you submitted to the auditors?
They are the same documents submitted to the auditors.
Madam Speaker, I think at this point I'll invite the Senate to make the necessary conclusion. Governor, you can turn with me to page 295 of our volume 2. And my first question, Governor, is whose responsibility is it by law to appoint chief officers? Is it your responsibility to appoint chief officers?
No.
By law, whose responsibility is it to appoint chief officers?
Public Service Board.
Governor, maybe I can clarify there that the position of the law, if you check section 45 of the County Governments Act, is that the governor appoints chief officers on recommendation of the County Public Service Board.
Yes.
The County Public Service Board advertises,
Yes.
they shortlist,
Yes.
they interview,
Yes.
then they submit names. And in fact, in your case, they submitted 3 names for every department
Yes.
to the governor for formal appointment.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So who does the actual appointment? The governor.
Yes.
So the document at page 295, now that you agree that it is the governor who formally appoints chief officers as by law, you will agree with me, Governor, that the document at page 295 emanates from your office. It is signed by the County Secretary for Her Excellency the Governor, and it communicates your decision as Governor to appoint certain individuals as chief officers, some in acting capacity, some in substantive positions, correct?
Council, I would like you to...
It's a yes/no question, Governor, so that we move.
There's no.
So you have not appointed these persons?
I've not appointed.
Okay. I'll refer you then to number 1, Naomi Kamunde, that is appearing. Can you read aloud what the document is at number 1?
I want to read from slightly above number 1.
Okay, you can start there then.
Redeployment.
Okay. Redeployment, go ahead. Or maybe your assistant can
In
do it for you.
order to improve on efficiency and effectiveness in the service delivery, the following changes have been agreed upon.
Okay.
Naomi Kamunde to move from Office of the Governor, Directorate of Protocol, to perform functions of Chief Officer, Office of the Governor, awaiting substantive Chief Officer.
Okay.
Yes.
So, by this letter, Naomi Kamunde is to move from the Office of the Governor, correct?
Yes.
And perform the functions of Chief Officer, awaiting a substantive Chief Officer, correct?
Yes.
And we've agreed that the power to appoint Chief Officers resides in you as a governor.
Is that appointment?
No, we have agreed that the power to appoint resides in you as a governor, correct?
Yes.
Is it your position that in appointing chief officers in acting capacity, the governor need not consult the County Public Service Board?
In this case,
No, it's a yes/no question, Governor. Is it your position that in appointing chief officers in acting capacity, the governor need not consult the County Public Service Board? Is that your evidence?
who has signed this document?
It is signed. Answer my question, Madam Speaker. I think at this point I'll seek your protection. May the witness answer the
Madam
question.
Governor, just answer the question, sir.
It's a yes?
Repeat again.
Is it your evidence that in appointing chief officers, in whatever capacity, whether substantive or acting, the governor need not consult the County Public Service Board? Is that your evidence?
When appointing a new chief officer. But
When
not
appointing a
deploying.
new chief officer. So
not
I take it
deployment.
that it is your evidence that when appointing a chief officer in acting capacity, the governor need not consult the County Public Service Board. That is your evidence.
The county secretary also has the powers.
By what? By which law? By which law? Show me the law. I am willing to be persuaded, Madam Governor. Show me the law. What allows the county secretary to appoint chief officers
Not
in
to
whatever
appoint,
capacity?
but to redeploy.
Governor, the question is not on the deployment. The question is on appointment. The question is on appointment. And turn with me to page 335. What document is on page 335?
Advisory on transfers and appointments.
Okay.
This is an advisory.
An advisory by the County Public Service Board.
Yes.
At paragraph 2, just read aloud what the County Public Service Board has advised all chief officers, because this is an internal memorandum, through the County Secretary who is the head of public service.
The County Public Service Board have advised the county secretary and end of public service, but not the governor of Meru.
Okay?
Yeah.
But we agreed that it is a function of the governor to appoint chief officers. We agreed on that, section
Yes,
45.
yes.
Okay?
But
Go ahead
there
and
is
read it.
no
Just go ahead and do
advisory by the county government or the County Public Service Board to the governor.
I agree with you on that. But I'm saying just read paragraph 2. Or do I read it aloud for you to agree?
No, I should read.
Okay.
This is advisory to the county secretary and end of public service with respect to establishment of offices, appointments, including acting appointments to all levels of staff. Please note that it is the sole statutory responsibility of the County Public Service Board as guided by the sections 59, subsection 1, A and B, 63 and 64 of the County Government Act 2012, to read together with the section 34, Act 2017, and section 16 and 23, PSC Regulations 2020, any other appointments done outside this is deemed null and void.
The County Public Service Board says that all appointments, including acting appointments at all levels of staff, is by law, and the laws are quoted there. It is the sole statutory responsibility of the board, correct?
Yes.
So, could you then, you or your or your county secretary, in the document on page 295 and 296, purport to appoint chief officers in acting capacity or substantive capacity? Could you purport to do so? Are you within the law in purporting to do so? That is my question.
I am not the one that did this. The letter is clearly signed by the county secretary.
But for who, Madam Governor? The letter is signed by the county secretary for who? For the governor, correct? And the appointment is issued in the letterhead of the office of the governor, correct? At page 295.
Where?
At page 295, on the top of the page, the letterhead is office of the governor, correct?
The letterhead for all the offices in my office have office of the governor, not this one specifically.
No problem, but this one specifically is office of the governor.
Yes.
Is the county secretary...
Council, sorry to interrupt.
Thank you.
I would like to alert all parties of the timelines that we are going to follow, and we are going to strictly adhere to this. The cross-examination will end at 7:10 without any extra minute. The re-examination will start from 7:10 to 7:30. The clarification by senators will start from 7:30 to 7:50. And then we'll have the closing statement on behalf of the County Assembly for 60 minutes from 7:50 to 8:50. Then we'll have the closing statement on behalf of the government for 60 minutes from 8:50 to 9:50. And then from 9:50 to 10, we will have an in-camera session, and the Senate will then have debate on the motion and division between 10 and 11:50 p.m. So this is to alert you to just bear that in mind. Thank you.
Very well, Madam Speaker. We are guided accordingly. So, Governor, back to my question. The specific letter on page 295 is issued in the letterhead of the office of the governor. And we have agreed that the governor is the appointing authority for chief officers, correct? Mm-hmm. Is the county secretary staff in the office of the governor?
The county secretary?
Yes.
And the public?
Is the county secretary...
in the county government of Meru.
Staff in the county government of Meru.
Yes.
You will agree with me that the county secretary is the head of public service, yes, and is therefore not a staffer in the office of the governor.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So, in as much as you might want to say that the county secretary was signing on your behalf, is not.
The county secretary
is not a staffer in your office, correct?
The county secretary assigned the letter
for the governor, though he is not a staffer in your office, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Governor, turn with me to page 384 of our volume 2. Under paragraph 4, that is a response by the County Public Service Board to the clerk of the County Assembly. You will agree with me that in that response, the County Public Service Board states, and I quote, the board is the appointing authority according to section 64 of the County Government Act.
Not disputed.
And the board, however, was not involved in the appointment of the acting chief officers as per the Act. You agree with me? At least that is apparent on the face of the document, correct?
Maybe.
You agree?
I'm not the one that was writing to them.
No, but you agree that is what the board says, Governor. That is
Yes,
obvious.
according to the letter.
Okay. So the board, the County Public Service Board, actually disowns your appointment and says that the appointments of the 17 chief officers whom you have appointed on the 23rd of August, most of whom are in acting capacity, was done without its involvement. Correct?
And to me, the board, the role of
So
the
yes, no question, Governor, so that we move.
Council, the role of the board is to give advisory to the end of county public service.
The role of the board is to recommend for appointment to you so that you appoint. The powers reside in you, not the county secretary. We agree on that, Governor. So, and the board disowns those appointments and says that you did not consult the board in making the appointments. You specifically, because you are the appointing authority.
And I specifically did not appoint any person.
I think.
Madam Speaker, we are constrained to seek your direction because we believe the rules of cross-examination is that a witness answers questions, they don't tell stories. And the reason we seek your direction and perhaps invocation of your powers under the relevant standing order is that we believe this witness is engaging us in an altercation, knowing very well our time is very limited, so that we don't have the opportunity to put to her all the relevant questions that we need to put.
Madam Governor, please answer the questions as asked.
Council, I have never appointed
Madam
any
Speaker,
of these.
Madam Speaker, just hold on. Council, can you ask the question and can she answer it?
Madam Governor, my question is, the County Public Service Board has disowned your appointments.
Not my appointment,
Who is the appointing authority?
the person who has signed here.
So, Governor, are you saying you have abdicated your roles as Governor and you delegated your authority to appoint to the County Secretary?
I have not delegated.
So, who appointed these officers? Is it you or the County Secretary?
The county secretary.
Okay. So, Governor, you're telling this Honorable House that as Governor, you can delegate your statutory authority to appoint the chief officers Just a moment, Madam Speaker. I want to show you, you can turn to our volume 3, or maybe I can just show you. Our volume 3, it's a small bundle with a green cover. The appointment of county chief officers. Governor, you will agree with me on 45, section 45, it reads as follows, that whenever a vacancy arises in the office of the county chief officer, the respective governor shall within 14 days nominate qualified and experienced county chief officers from among persons competitively sourced and recommended by the County Public Service Board, and with the approval of the County Assembly, appoint county chief officers. You agree? That is the law. That is the law, Governor. You agree?
Council, I agree.
Very well, Madam Governor. So, have you presented a valid authority before this House to show that you could validly delegate your authority to the County Secretary to appoint this chief officer on your behalf?
The acting chief.
Is there an authority? Is there an authority, Madam Governor?
Council,
From your documents.
Let me explain, Council.
Is there an authority? Yes or no?
These acting
Madam
chief
Governor, is there
officers
an authority?
are
Madam
directors
Governor,
in the same
they want
office.
a yes or no answer. Just answer. Whether you...
No one has
delegated
been
that authority.
sourced from outside. These are directors at acting capacity awaiting
I think, Madam
substantive
Speaker, I
recruitment.
leave the Senate to draw a conclusion on that question. Madam Governor, you can turn with me to page 68 of our volume 2. And for purposes of clarity, in your exam in chief, you stated that you did not travel to China, correct?
Yes,
You never traveled to China.
I have.
Did you seek clearance to travel to China?
Yes,
You sought clearance,
yes,
but you never traveled.
yes.
Okay. The document on page 68 says, and the question is, the persons in the letter that is signed by the county secretary makes reference to, following the invitation of the governor of Meru County, the following technical team. The wording is technical team, correct?
Yes.
And turn with me to page 86. In that letter, we can see your name listed there as part of the persons who were supposed to travel to China, correct?
Yes,
Though you never did.
I never did.
So, because, Madam Governor, your defense is that your relatives traveled as part of an advance team, yet in the letter of 5th June 2023, we see that you tried to obtain clearance on the same day. Were they traveling as part of an advance team of another team that was to come if you are in the same letter with them seeking clearance? Is that defense consistent with what we see on page 86?
Yes, it is.
Fair enough. And at page 87, Madam Governor, we see a Mr. Nefat Kenyua Meme, whose title is designated as Director External Linkages, correct?
Yes.
And in your testimony, you say that he was an office administrator in the office of the governor.
Yes, and later moved to act in the external leakages.
And later moved to?
External leakages acting director.
Okay. Was he competitively recruited by the board in order for him to act? Okay, not competitively recruited. Let me rephrase, Madam Speaker, I'm sorry. Was he formally appointed by the board, County Public Service Board, in order for him to act as a director external linkages? Was he?
He was an,
Yes or no?
he was an employee of county government.
Was he appointed formally by the County Public Service Board in that acting capacity? Was he?
By the county public service board?
Yes.
No,
He was not.
but by the county secretary.
By the County Secretary?
Yes.
And in that advisory that I just showed you in our bundle, in that advisory by the County Public Service Board, it says that all appointments, whether acting or substantive, in all levels of the County Public Service are the exclusive responsibility, statutory responsibility of the County Public Service Board. Is that not a violation of the law, Madam Governor?
It depends with the county secretary.
Does it depend on the county secretary or what the law says? Is it a matter of discretion? Or it is a matter about compliance with what the law says?
The county secretary council cannot do this minus any law guiding him to do this.
So what is the law then that supports your position? Point me
That's
to the
why I
law.
want some 2 minutes to get exactly why the county secretary has power to have a director to act for some few months awaiting substantive recruitment of a chief officer.
Again, Madam Speaker, I leave the Senate to draw the necessary conclusion. In the interest of time, Madam.